Hello everyone, Randy Harrington here. This video is going to be a video about a camping trip that I just returned from that is in very close proximity to the area known as Area X. Area X, I've been familiar with the location since 2006, and it was told to me where this location was by the brother of the landowner of that location. The brother, his name was Rick Branson. You can check out a video I did called A Tale of Two Brothers, and I will post that so you can see it. Now, I never talked to Charles Branson, who was the owner of the property. I only had a relationship with his brother Rick, and so if you watch the video, you will hear all the details about that. But specifically, Rick told me about his son-in-law, or both of their son-in-laws, or nephew, who was hunting out there and saw a young Bigfoot in a tree that looked like a chimp. So I am going to pull up the BFRO reports and let's take a look at that report. And that was the one that was told to me about from Rick Branson. So I'm going to go ahead and just briefly go over some of the location details in LeFlore County. The property is on Cucumber Creek and in LeFlore County, and this property is no longer being used by the North America Wood Ape Conservancy. They've moved to a different location. I believe they are still on that creek somewhere east, but not at this particular location. So that's why I feel okay, talking about this location since I did have the information about it, and I was actually invited there before they took hold of the place and implemented, the killing of a Sasquatch from that location. So you will have to check out their information to listen to all of the evidence, that they will give you, and in their efforts to try to secure a specimen by killing one. But that's neither here nor there. They have not killed one. So this is about my camping trip in this location. But I want to read this. The investigation was by Alton Higgins. So Alton Higgins is the biologist that founded the North American Wood Ape Conservancy. So when this report was given, and he was the one who investigated it, he developed a relationship with the owner of the hunting cabins. There's a group of 3 hunting cabins within a small section of land on the Cucumber Creek. And so that's how that relationship began. And then that's how they got access to that location. So that's where it began. And it was, the nephew he was sitting in a tree hunting, and in a large tree about 60 yards north of his position, and he was faced west because of the black coloration. His initial thought was that it was a crow or some other large bird that had landed. This momentary impression quickly evaporated as he realized the motions were those of an arm, not wings, belonging to an animal much larger than a crow. The estimated height of the creature, which he was now sure represented a primate of some sort, was at least 3 to 4 feet. It was observed for about 6 seconds. The animal mostly reminded him of a chimpanzee, but the color of the facial skin was dark brown. Needless to say, you can read that your report yourself. It's found on the BFRO website and in LeFlore County, Oklahoma. So you can get a better reading of the investigation and the story itself. But it boils down to a lot of activity based in that area from that property, from multiple family members who were in there, spending time there hunting. The roads up there are very rough, very tough to get into, and so I decided I have camped up and around that area before, especially since I know where Area X is. And so this is going to be a video showing you my latest trip there, where I spent 6 days. All right, I'm sitting in my drive, getting ready to pull out for this 6.5 hour trip down to the Kiamichis, and spent all day loading up the vehicle yesterday. As you can see, I am packed to the rim. It even have stuff put on the top rack. But anyways, this morning starting up the Explorer here, it was a little sluggish starting up. That concerns me. I hope I don't have a battery alternator, or the battery could, especially the alternator, that could be bad. So we will see. I will stop somewhere, shut her down and start her again and see. Maybe it's just because I had the doors open for so long yesterday, loading stuff up almost all day, so maybe it just drained the battery a little bit. I hope that's it. All right.
It is on the wrong speed. Clicks the switch to 33. Turns the dial right up to 10. And he flies, leaping around the room like an eat-up baboon. Just him and his damn set, yelling, I have no regrets. Do it for the love, the rush, the buzz, the hush. Whatever tunes your knees to push, the hit, the lift. Even if you gotta sift through the shit to get to the twist, the smile I hide like it's your very last line. You'll never get another try. Do it loud, do it for the ride, for the here and now. Judy's in the wrong dream, just can't get back where she's been. A second pill's just kicking in, but she slides. The inside starts to boom. A very young cartoon, bubbling through her veins, shuts her eyes as real fun begins. Did it for the love, the rush, the buzz, the hush. Whatever turns her knees too much, they hit the lift. Even if she's gotta sit through the shit to get to the twist, the smile I high like it's her last line. She'll never get another try. Do it loud, do it for the ride, for the here and now. Leaping round the room like an eat-up baboon. Him and his dance set, yelling, I have no regrets. I do it for the love, the rush, the buzz, the hush. Whatever turns my knees so much, they hit the lift. Even if you gotta sift through the shit to get to the twist, the smile I high like it's your last line, but you never get another try. Do it loud, do it for the ride, for the here and now. The here and now.
All right, finally set up, and now I can relax. And so wait for the first night to begin, and we will see what happens. But I get to enjoy the sunset and the shadows getting longer as the night creeps in, and we will see what lays in store for this first evening by myself. I do want to lay the groundwork of where I'm located. You can see on the map where Big Cedar is up there in the upper left corner. and there's two yellow dots on the map, or two yellow circles. The yellow circle to the right is my campsite, and the yellow circle to the left is the general area of Area X. So we're really pretty close, and we're just above, a little north east of Cucumber Creek, and Area X is on Cucumber Creek. Again, the X at the top right is my campsite. The X at the far left, where you see all the channels of the creek that I drew, that's Area X's location, and that's the original Area X. Uh, Nobody is using that location now other than the people who own the property. So please don't think that you're going to become a trespasser and go trespass on somebody's private property. I'm just showing you the location in relation to where I'm at on this camping trip. Anybody can have access to these logging roads that are around this location, but do not invade somebody's personal space and their private property. Please. It's a very dangerous thing to do. So, needless to say, I drew all the yellow lines down there. Cucumber Creek is fairly large, and it can include, it's got multiple channels. And when you're on 259, when you cross Cucumber Creek, if there's been any rain, there's quite a volume of water that'll run through Cucumber Creek. But the further you go up, it splits into many different channels that all come together by the time you get to 259 highway there. So it's quite a lot of water at that point. But going up through the mountains here towards my campsite, it's multiple channels. So each little channel has its own separate water flow. Some of them are dry, some of them have pools of water in them, and some of them may have a flowing water. But it's only when it rains a lot is it a really gushing torrent of water. But mainly it's just a flat area with multiple smaller channels running through it. So that's where we're at. That's where Area X is at, and we will see what happens. All right, it's night number 1, and it's about 9:30, so it's already pretty dark. I got here about 4, and slowly got everything all set up in the kitchen. Got my kitchen area and all my hardware and battery charging station and everything, and I've already got a whole bunch of sweaty clothes that need to hang up and dry. So it gets dark awful quick. So there's the vehicle, and my tent is back there. My tent is right here, and got the wood line behind it. And sitting on this table, I have the parabolic log, so that on my first night, I can just kind of take a listen, see what's going on around me. You never know, something might come in here on the first night. And indeed, there may have just been some kind of activity around my camp. Around 1:15 in the morning, I heard something hit the metal table underneath the parabolic log recorder sitting on top of it, and I will play that for you now. All right, got the generator running, got my laptop set up, getting it started up, and it's still warm even though it's cloudy. So got my fan, but gonna download last night's audio. That way, when I explain to people what happened and the way I heard things, they too can hear the actual audio. So I'm going to go ahead and get that process going where I'm putting this download in, and I will include the clips of what I heard last night. I think even when I got out and chased the armadillo thinking it was a raccoon with my cookies, there's the cookies. So that's what I thought it had in its hands. So kind of funny. All right. So later that early afternoon, Chris Nichols and his son was joining me, and this is their arrival. Big berm to stop people from going much further. There's a puddle down here. I had to cut branches to get out and around the puddle to get through some ruts. And then when I started going up the hill, it was rough. The rocks, the ruts, I was like, it's hardcore. We can walk it. There's no way. People aren't just going to be coming in here just to entertain themselves. That is a rough road. Really? Yeah. So I've only seen one car come in the whole time. And it went that way. Yeah, and it was just earlier when I thought it was you. Yeah. Well, good. Nice and shady. Ooh. Yeah. So I've been in quiet woods. This is deadly. Where'd you serve? Swamp. I said, man, this cakewalk. Yeah, I said, man, if you want to go, it's gonna be hot. He's like, man, I'll take the mountains over the swamp any day. Yeah. We are a long way off the road. Yeah. I'm telling you, aside from the insects and stuff like that. Yeah. I did have something happen last night. Yeah. I ended up getting out about 4 a.m. and running down an armadillo. I thought it was a raccoon that had my cookies. I thought I heard my package and something running that way with my package. Really? And I was like, man, a raccoon has got my package of cookies. And so I got out my flip-flops and I'm running down that trail, and it was an armadillo, but my cookies were still safe. Good. But I did have... It's a trail. It's a little game trail. Yeah. I did have something hit the metal table. I mean loud. Really? But I've just come to the conclusion that it had to be a pine cone, because it was sitting right out here. It had my parabolic sitting on it. Okay. And it didn't make any sense. I didn't hear anything else. It just couldn't make any sense that it was anything but a pine cone. It just dropped and hit it, and it was just so loud, and you could tell it was that table. Yeah.
Yeah, it could have been pine cone, could have been...
Yeah.
So, cool. So what time was that?
1:15. I did hear something, but I'm sure it had to be that armadillo. Something was going around my tent, and you see how I've got my tarp laid out?
Yeah.
I would hear something touch the tarp, and then it would over there and touch the tarp. I'm like, and in my mind, I'm like, a Bigfoot is trying to look in the windows, but he's having to step on the tarp to look in the windows and making his way around the tent. I'm laying on my belly with my head covered, and I'm hearing it, and I'm just like, holy shit. Because he can see my naked ass laying in there.
How far down this did you go?
Just till I saw the armadillo. But I don't know. I see a big ass down tree down. Yeah, there was you can just feel the cool air coming up. And this will be the recording of me hearing the noise going by my tent that I thought was a raccoon carrying my cookies, and then me saying, I don't know what I said, but I got up and unzipped the tent and went after it to save the cookies. Hey, now there is a military man setting his stuff up. Hey, I hope you don't mind. You're going to be doing a cameo on one of my YouTube videos.
Oh, good.
Everybody, this is Garrett Nichols. He came here with his dad, who's a friend of mine. We've been out before. His dad is as deep into the subject as I am. This will be Garrett's first foray into this subject matter, but he has spent some time in the swamps camping in Louisiana. He has heard a thing or two. And being a military guy doing some night maneuvers, you never know what he heard down there. So hopefully I'll be doing an interview with him if we have activity, if we have something major happen, we'll have to sit him down in a chair and get his take on what happens. And while he's getting things set up, I want to go over what happened last night so that I can clear things up. I rolled in here about 4:30 yesterday, and it took me till about dark to have everything set up. But I was laying in my tent. See that little metal table right there? I had that metal table sitting right here with the parabolic log on it. Everybody's familiar with how my parabolic logs work. And here it is right here. This is the one that was there. About 1:15, I was laying in here in the tent. I had all of my screens covers down so that I could get air because it was very, very toasty. And so maybe you can see in there, I was just laying on that mattress. No covers because it was hot. Just laying there in the dark. Well, anyways, about 1:15, I heard a loud bang where something hit metal, and the only metal was that little table sitting out here. So I'm certain that that table was hit. But when I got out this morning and looked around, I see pine cones. So since nothing else happened significant, I'm going to just assume that a pine cone fell out of a tree and just happened to hit the table, which was that metallic sound. Now, if I take the time to pull that out of the audio, I'll play it for you so you can just hear it. So that's the way it sounded to me. But there is something else that happened. And that is, see how I've got the tarps laid out for my tent to set on it? I'm laying face down with my head, face down on my hands, on my arms. So I hear something touch one of these, the tarp. And so I'm thinking a small animal. So then a few seconds later, I hear the tarp being touched somewhere else. And I actually hear it all the way around. See how the tarp sticks out? So in my mind, I'm laying there listening to what I think is moving around the tent, looking into my windows. That's what I was seeing in my head in the pitch darkness as I'm laying there. The fact that something was touching the tarps, my idea was it was stepping on it to look in the windows. At least that's what made sense to what I was hearing. I don't know if that's what it was. That's just what it sounded like to me. Because not long after that, I heard a small animal, and it ran by, sounded like it had a plastic package, a food package in its hand. So I'm thinking, at this time, it's like 3:30, 4 a.m., pitch dark, and I hear something run by my tent, which I'm assuming was a raccoon, and it had my package of cookies that I had sitting on the table. I hadn't opened them yet, but it sounded like crinkly paper as this thing was running by. And in my mind, I'm seeing a raccoon hanging on to a little package of cookies. And so I hopped up, naked as Jaybird, throw on my flip-flops, unzip the door and come out with my light. And I go tearing down this trail where I heard the sound go. And I see an armadillo So that's what it was. It was an armadillo. And it just sounded like he had something in a plastic, but it was his shell kind of dragging the underbrush. So it's funny how your mind can really work you over into what you think you're hearing. And so I wanted to share that with everybody. That was the first night. I was here by myself. Now Chris and his son is here setting stuff up. So we're going to do some more stuff tonight, and hopefully there'll be more Bigfoot stuff to report. So far, it was just my imagination. And of course, any time of day is a good day, or is a good time for breakfast. All right, this was my second night, night number 2. It was Chris and his son's first night, but we decided to go ahead and just do a night hike up the western ridge there, west of our camp. It almost went up, like at a 35 degree pitch going up to the top of that ridge. So it was a nice hike, all going uphill. Much easier coming back. But I'm going to go ahead and show you a little map of where our campsite was located. And it is the yellow dot at the top right corner of this map. And so the ridge road starts to go uphill in a westerly southwest and then back to northwest direction. So you can see the arrows pointing in the direction that we went from camp, and the various places that we stop and wait and scan with thermals and see what we could see. So these would be the videos of that hike.
Uncharted territory right here. I wish we could turn all this shit off and just walk in the dark, but I know the terrain is rough. So we'll get up here. What'd you say? Get up here.
Yeah, we're gonna have to maneuver ourselves around that deep puddle down here. Okay. But once we're beyond that, we should be good to go.
What light is on?
It might be. They look like that came way up there.
They're not stupid. I'm thinking they're walking in the woods.
They probably don't even want to cake mud on their feet. They're probably like, who likes to walk around with mud between my toes? Hey, can you go over and touch that tree and leave your handprint on the tree?
What's right in front of you?
Yeah, that one right there. Hold it for for 10 seconds. All right. Wow, look at that.
Jeez Louise. Wonder how long it'll sit like that. I don't know where you... Yeah, you're right under me.
It's still there.
Very cool. Yeah, that was like 3 seconds.
So if one was to say like hug a tree and we could go to that spot, you know, within, you know, a minute, we could probably see where its hands were hugging that tree.
Yeah, I mean, like here. I got you.
Yeah, that's true. A pretty good definition in a minute.
Let's see, what do I look like now? Tree hugger.
Look at that. Your dad's hand is still on there.
Yeah. Let's see, they're very faint though.
Yeah.
I put almost no pressure in it.
Isn't that crazy?
It's wild.
Look at that. You see his little footprints being left behind.
Can you really? Yeah.
That, folks, is an armadillo.
Armadillo.
And if you listen closely, it sounds like he's got a handful of Oreo cookie packages.
You want to shine the camera on him? There you go. They're pretty quick. They're pretty damn quick, ain't they? If y'all are that fast, why y'all dead?
That, ladies and gentlemen, is a skunk in the brush. That was a skunk that just about had Chris Nichols take us both out.
Yeah, I was on that side. I was a couple feet from him.
He almost took us all out.
You didn't know what you were running from, did you? Nah, I reacted.
That reminded me back when I was on a walkboard with my buddy and some wasps were flying around and he about killed us both on the walkboard trying to get away from that wasp. And I was like, dude, just calm down. The wasps don't want to sting you.
I wasn't going to give you opportunity to spray me that close.
He'll ease on down the road. You don't want to waste that skunk spray on us. Save it for the Bigfoot.
That would definitely cover up our scent.
So last night was night 2 for me. It was night 1 for these gentlemen. We did have some activity last night. There was a skunk. The activity was from Chris.
He pointed his butt at me and I was not having any part of it.
Yeah, there was about 15 seconds of pure chaos on the trail until I heard skunk. I thought we were retreating from, I didn't know what we were retreating from, a mountain lion, a Bigfoot, and then when I heard skunk, okay, yeah, at least then it was clear to me, but before that it was pure panic.
It was.
He almost stepped on a skunk and it was right on the side of the trail he was walking on.
I was right there by him and he, like I said, he arched his tail up and he turned around and looked, but he didn't get on his legs and I thought, no, I was warning y'all so y'all didn't get the Pepe Le Pew on you, so.
Yeah. Yeah, but no, that was funny. So we did see armadillos, we did see a rabbit, we did see a skunk, but not the target species.
No. I just saw a deer walking down the road and saw several on the ride in, just bounding across the road, and the big owl. But that was during the day. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a thing for that. Oh, you have one too. Okay, never mind. To buy that. I got a big one with a tripod on it. If you want something like that.
We're good. I'll hold it. All right, everyone. We're on site. This is my buddy Chris Nichols. We've been friends on Facebook for a while. He joined myself and Shane back during Thanksgiving trip to the Kiamichis for the first time. He's from Tennessee, and I was throwing a feeler out on my Facebook page when I was taking this trip to anybody that wants to go along, and he said, I've already got my stuff packed. He said, I've already got my stuff packed. When are you going? So that's how that took place, and so he's here. And but the reason he's ate up with it the way most of us are is he's got his own little story to tell from when he was a young man up in Michigan.
Yes, sir. Northern Michigan.
Northern Michigan.
Mount Morenci County area.
So everybody take a moment and think about how many reports you've heard from Michigan. A lot.
Quite a bit.
So what happened, buddy?
I have a lot of family up there, and so we'd go up every year for vacation. And I was 19. I just got out of school. I graduated and went to college, and same with my brother. And it's very remote, very rural. And every night, even in the summertime, because it cools off, we'd have a campfire. We had gone fishing the day prior, and when we cleaned the fish, we cleaned them out there by his garden. Just threw all the entrails and the carcasses out there. He had the corn. It was July, you know, the saying, corn is high, it's July or what have you. So the corn was really high. So we're sitting on at the campfire, and we hear this something coming up. There's a big game trail behind the property, and you could tell it's bipedal. It wasn't a deer. It wasn't a bear or anything like that. You know, it came up and it reached the edge of his yard. His yard was like a semicircle.
Cut into a cornfield?
Well, no, he just planted corn in his backyard. He put out. He had corn.
Okay.
He raised everything, potatoes.
Okay, so a little family plot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sitting here, it's cutting a semicircle. Up here in the corner was a game trail, probably 30 yards away, and whatever it was, it stopped, and then nothing happened. So we heard it go north, and as soon as it got north, his neighbor, which was probably 80 feet away, his motion detecting light came on, and it stopped. It made its way back this way behind where he came out, and kept on moving south to the tree line behind the garden. Well, it stayed back there for I'd say 10 to 15 minutes, just shaking around and moving things around, and I was like, what do you want to do from here? We were probably, it was like the fire site was here, the garden, and where it was hanging out back here. It made its way up from the tree line into the garden. You could see the tops of the corn moving. So I don't know if it was crouched down or if it was just a smaller one, juvenile, what have you. And it moved back toward where we had cleaned the fish. Well, I got up to go and just walk.
So do you think it was trying to locate the fish, not knowing what it was smelling? It was just trying to find what it was smelling?
I think it knew that it was fish by this time, because he lives on a lake, and everybody.
So he would be familiar with gut piles, the fish gut piles and stuff.
So I walked parallel to the back of the home, to the front of where the garden was, and as soon as I did, I saw a foot down, and then I saw a hand reach down to like scoop it up, and then a knee went down, like he was leaning down to gather it all up. And which Perez was talking about how they have big hands with shorter fingers. This thing had sausage fingers, but his palm was big and it was black. And you could see him go like this and grab it, but he just let enough of his body out to where he wasn't fully seen. But I could tell, you know, he was leaning down on a knee, and the thigh was this big, the calf, and you could see when the arm went out, it wasn't fur, it was the hair that had hung down 3-4 inches, and you could see where it was gray, where it, you know, when they walk, sometimes they, you know, they chafe it off. Yeah. So yeah, and I saw that, and I was like, yeah. At 19, you know, I've been reading about it since I was 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, but you don't really prepare yourself for that. So I froze, and it just kept doing what it did. This lasted about 4, 5, 6 seconds, and then it made some kind of grunt, and I took off for the house, his back door. My adrenaline was going so bad that I reached for the screen door and tried to push the button and pull at the same time. Ended up ripping the entire handle off, snapping it right off, and got inside, and I was terrified. I didn't know what was going on. And he came in through the front door, because he got scared when I ran off, so he comes in through the front door. But it was I was hooked already at that point, but at that age, but that really solidified it.
So can you tell me any type of discussion that you had immediately afterward with your brother
of course, he's like, "What happened?" You know, because now he's caught up in the frantic moment. But so, how do you explain to him what happened?
Well, I told you know he didn't walk that way, so he didn't see it, and I told him what I saw, and I think he believed me, but at the same time, he has a motion. I'm sorry, he has like a security camera in the back of his house, and they get bears that come up all the time because his backyard backs up to thousands of acres of forest. And so, yeah, I said it wasn't a bear. You know, I saw an opposable thumb. I saw an actual bent knee, and the you know the lower part of its leg. So yeah, it was and it was scary. And that was like 1993, 92, and we still talk about it to this day. We still I still ask him, have you had anything strange go on? You know, at that point, there was no BFRO or anything. So I kind of dug around into the papers, the Mount Mercer County papers, and right down both sides of the road, the main road, the main highway, there had been hunters that have had some type of something they couldn't understand, a whistle or a scream or something like that. And
So, in the discussions with your brother, shortly thereafter, I'm sure it was a matter of talking point for quite a while.
oh yeah.
Did he ever reveal that anything had ever happened that, looking back after what you saw, looking back, did anything that he's like, well, maybe that was something, or maybe this was something that happened at certain times? Did anything like that pop up?
No, because he was raised there, so Bigfoot was an everyday part of northern Michigan life. So it was talked about. That's like when you ride through, you see the Bigfoot statues and the cutouts. It's all over the place up there. So he had looked into it, but he never really said anything about, yeah, that explains this, or this. Either he just didn't think about it, or just dismissed everything to a bear or a bobcat or a mountain lion or the all of the, because there's everything up there. Badgers, there's absolutely everything that could do anything, make any type of noise or anything.
So it affected you the way it affected most people that have some type of encounter or sighting or whatever, whether it be Class A or Class B, to the point where, I mean, we might as well say it, an obsession, to where you start taking in everything you can find on that subject because you're looking for answers. So that is where we bring in your son Garrett. Garrett, come over here. This is Chris's son Garrett. He's 20 years old, fresh out of the Army, green behind the ears, and this is his first Bigfoot camp out. Nothing has happened so far. It's just a camp out, and we're just looking for evidence. But he was front and present with his dad's obsession with watching every Bigfoot movie, because as a youngster he would have to watch them too. So at what age did you say, you know what, my dad's got a Bigfoot problem?
It would just be like this little stuff around the house. I'd walk by the table, see a stack of Bigfoot books, or I'd like walk into the living room, because the show he watched, the Finding Bigfoot, it always had a very distinct at the beginning. So I could be in my room or I'd hear him watching that, and I'd just be like,
yeah.
And then, I'd go off to the Army for a little bit. I'd come back and his truck's all decked out in Ozark Sasquatch stuff, and I'm like, all right.
You dropped over the edge now.
Yeah.
Good that he found like a hobby. But it was also like, even with it, like growing up, it was something that, well, it's always like prevalent. It was always in the back of my head. I mean, I could be like out in the woods, and I could be like 6 years old. In the back of my head, I'm gonna get killed by a Bigfoot.
Yeah, we'd go out in the woods, yeah, and
Well, that's cool.
I'd tell him, I'd show him pictures, I'd show him the PG film when they were young, and he'd ask me, is it real? And I'd tell him a story on it, but that was as he got older. But whenever I had my experience, 92, there was no internet to speak of.
Right.
So you're like, well,
I didn't get me a computer till like 97.
Really?
So yeah. So Garrett, so up until this excursion right here, you've really only talked about Bigfoot probably with him. now you've had a couple of days that we've chatted about stuff. So you hear a different man's perspective on what's going on out there. How do you feel about what we've chatted about over the last few days? Has it solidified, that neither your dad nor myself are crazy?
Well, I completely understand like the hearing stuff, and I'll hear stuff whenever y'all leave and y'all go on these little trails or wherever y'all go. Like, I mean, I heard it just while y'all were gone. It sounded like a stick or something was getting, or a rock was getting scraped against a tree. It was back there. Probably something. I mean, I heard like little critters running around, very easily distinguishable against something that's massive and walks on 2 feet. But
It's kind of like the perfect storm because I've shown him a lot of evidence, mainly yours and Shane's. So he can take that and then come out here and then listen to you and then kind of tie it all in together so this is how it happens. This is ground zero. This is in the videos you showed him, the bluff charge and things like that. The things he heard about growing up. And now I think he's pretty...
Well, I hope he's excited about it. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
I wish I could go back and be 20 years old again and have this all ahead of me rather than most of it behind me.
Yeah.
And I was right before I left. Me and him and my friends were all outside of our house talking, and he's like, "Yeah, we're going to the Ozarks to look for Bigfoot tomorrow." All my friends were like, "What? Really?"
Well, yeah.
And they're all like, "Man, that sounds so cool. I'd love to do that." Like I was telling them and texting them how shaky I was that first night, and they're like, "Man, I'd love to do that." And I'm like,
So,
"What's your channel called?"
The Sensible Bigfoot Project.
I'll show you all his channels. He's got his and he's got his own.
So you
he's
better
got his own
sub.
page.
You need to
Yeah.
sub it.
Yep.
I definitely will.
And he's got some young guys his age went to school with, and they're all interested in camping and stuff. They seem legit and serious, not going out and getting hammered and shooting guns and arrows in the air. Because I told him, I said, if we do that, if I take y'all to a place either in Arkansas or Middle Tennessee, it's not gonna be a party.
Yeah, no silliness.
Not gonna be anything like that.
And I wouldn't even.
Well, but as you
yeah,
mature as an adult too, there's going to come a time when you're going to enjoy this for what it is, and that is sitting in a chair and enjoying nature. You're going to, as you become a more mature man, these are the things when you get away from the concrete jungle that you're going to be like, these are the moments that I live for because there's a peace here that you're not going to find anywhere else.
True. I tell you, man, sitting in that chair for 2 hours straight, read that book, there's just this joy.
I know.
There's just this joy that I'm learning something, and it's all, and I'm close to it, and here I am, like you said, a bad day camping beats a good day in the city any day, and it's because I would talk and I'd say, but you guys just don't understand how excited.
Well, I understand who you are now. I
Man.
mean, even with our conversations here,
Yeah.
I mean, you need to know people's backstories. You need to know what baggage they bring with them to understand where they're coming from and where they're at. I'm okay with that.
It's just a whole new world for me now. That's kids are grown. I'm older now, and now I kind of find myself with this time on my hands. And luckily, where I am, I can come here in 5 hours, 5 hours. I can go to the
LBL.
I can go to the LBL in 3.5. I could go to, eastern Middle Tennessee in 4.5, 5. So northern Alabama. So I'm 4.5, 5, 6 hours away from a lot of these places that you hear about on TV, and you see the people talk about, And so I like that,
Yeah. Well, it kind of breaks my heart to see you and your son. Not because it's for y'all's sake. For y'all's sake, it's great. I mean, here, a father and son sharing, just something as interesting as this subject in this day and age of modern knowledge. I just still have a mystery like this. But for myself, I've got 2 adult daughters, never had a son. So I've kind of been a loner, been doing this alone. It really warms my heart. So I appreciate you guys.
I waited for a long time for him to get old enough to camp and do things like this. He got out of school and he went to the Army. Now he's back, and I'm not gonna push him. If you want to go, you're more welcome to go. But if you'll hang with you guys, when you get a girlfriend or something, you're not gonna want to do as much, and that's fine. So, but it's nice. Growing up, like I said, my dad and I, we didn't do a whole lot of camping like this. We'd go in big groups, and he'd have vans, and we'd sleep in vans. But it's at the local state park, It was none of this primitive camping type of thing like that. So
there's nothing like it. There's nothing like it. Just, man, especially when the sun drops, and you're alone.
Yeah, you're a long way from. We haven't seen it. We haven't seen anything, any civilization since that white car came through when he was gone. I haven't seen anybody since.
Yeah.
So but these are the things, and luckily, I have a good enough job to where I can make enough money, yeah, to have some of these smaller things that not quite what you have, but yeah, if I have a good week or two, I can take 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 days off if I want to.
That's beautiful.
Which is good, kind of like what you do with your own business. So yeah, that definitely is an advantage. So if I can have a good week driving or a good 10 days driving, I can pick a spot on a map or see what anybody else is doing, and because you'd be surprised on the internet. I have a lot of people in these groups that will say, "Yeah, come on out, me and Joe Bob and Ricky, and so you're more welcome to tag along." So, and we grew up saying what did our parents tell us? Don't get in the car with strangers and don't talk to people on the internet. Well, now we just we get in the car with strangers and Ubers, and then we just beat people on the internet and go beat them. So
yeah. If you say Bigfooting, I'm in.
Oh,
I don't care what kind of serial killer you are.
Yeah, well, I'll deal with that when we go to sleep at night. Right. So we'll deal with that then. For sure.
Good stuff.
But and luckily, with today's technology, you can kind of vet people and know that they're, whether they are on the up and up or arrest records or anything like that. And
want to say anything to your friends before we sign off? You want to mention any of them by name so we can give them a hard time?
The classics. Probably the only ones that'll even bother watching this is like my friend Rustin and Sam and maybe Logan.
Well, I got to be prepared for that vehicle if it comes back.
That's true.
Interesting little gadget there.
Yeah, look how small it is when he folds it up. It's really nice. Such a gorgeous area, is it not, Garrett? From driving up there and then how far down it goes there, how far up it goes. Oh, Randy.
What's the radius on that thing?
It shut off.
A couple miles?
It didn't shut off. The screen just went blank. As long as that red dot is still doing it's filming.
Okay.
What's the radius on that thing? A couple miles?
Supposed to, line of sight, it should be 4 or 5 miles, but in places like this, with trees and hills and valleys and hollers, half a mile maybe.
Yeah.
Does signal play a big thing into it?
Oh yeah. Yeah, line of sight. If it's clear, you should be able to get 4 or 5 miles with this thing.
He'll show you on his monitor. It's very sensitive too. It definitely will pick something up.
They are. That's why I crashed so many of them.
You crashed so many of them?
Drones? Yeah.
I remember you crashed a bunch of helicopters, little helicopters we had.
Or, yeah, it was the same thing.
They wait for them to connect. You want to come over and take a look at this?
Yeah, come look at the monitor. It's awesome.
We had this drill in the army that I flew called the Raven. It's literally built like a freaking crop duster.
So it just looks like a small airplane.
Yeah, it has the propeller in the front, has like the wings and the tails, and has a camera like right under here.
Is it quiet?
Under the cockpit. Oh yeah.
Is it?
You can't hear it. You can see it, but you can't hear it.
Is it foam or what's it made out of?
It's made out of styrofoam.
It's looking with the thermal lens right now. So it's looking into the woods there with the thermal.
Yeah.
There she goes.
It is on the wrong speed. Clicks the switch to 33. and he flies, leaping around the room like an eat-up baboon. Just him and his dance set, yelling I have no regrets. Do it for the love, the rush, the buzz, the hush. Whatever tunes your knees to mush, the hip, the lift, even if you gotta sift through the shit to get to the twist. The smile I high like it's your very last line. Can never get another try. Do it loud, do it for the ride, for the here and now. Judy's in the wrong dream, just can't get back where she's been. A second pill's just kicking in, but she slides. The inside starts to boom. A very young cartoon, bubbling through her veins, shuts her eyes. Real fun begins. Did it for the love, the rush, the buzz, the hush. Whatever turns her knees too much, they hit the lift. Even if she's gotta sift through the shit to get to the twist. The smile I high like it's her last line. She'll never get another try. Do it loud, do it for the ride, for the here and now. Leaping round the room like an eat-up baboon. Him and his dance set, yelling I have no regrets. I do it for the love, the rush, the buzz, the hush. Whatever turns my knees so much, they hit the lift. Even if you gotta sift through the shit to get to the twist. The smile I high like it's your last line, but you never get another try. Do it loud, do it for the ride, for the here and now. Here and now. Need a little time for things to fall into place. Everybody needs a little time. What would you say if I said tonight I'm going out? If I said there seems to be no doubt, if you came along, you put some right back in my wrong. And I feel like a fool, I feel like a clown, as I wait for you to make a sound. The word of life, when you're around, I subside. Smoke another cigarette as I wait for the train. One of these days I'm gonna give up that game. time for things to fall into place. Everybody needs a little time. Just another heartache on the Heartache Express. One of these days I'll get away from this mess. And in your Wednesday makeup and in your Wednesday dress, you add a little dream to my day. What would you say if I said tonight I'm going out? If I said there seems to be no doubt, if you came along, you'd put some right.
I'll be showing everybody. Here's what we got. Where we almost stepped on a skunk, and we got 2 armadillos, spider web.
All kinds of Mother Nature, everything except what we came for.
Might as well turn this into the Discovery Channel. Prime nutrition.
What's up? Oh, him?
I'm videoing this.
The cheese really does not break. They didn't like put withers in it. It's just
It's just one block?
It's just a block. Like,
That's right. You sure?
Absolutely, yes. I just hear him mess with it for like at
It
least 40
fused
seconds.
together.
Yeah, heat maybe did that.
So now I gotta like.
Try to break off an equal chunk.
No, I'm just gonna put the entire stack of pepperoni under the entire stack of cheese. I'm just gonna make a freaking double pepper like mushable Whopper or
Well,
something.
just eat all the cheese.
You know, I'll just,
Go buy you a $26 Coke, because they rob you at the damn instant.
I will. Oh god, I don't even want to think about it. But, no, it's actually not that bad. I think I got. There's like a little 7-Eleven little window shop in one airport I went to. I can't remember which one it was. I think it was Dallas. And I think I got a breakfast burrito, some like chips and a soda for like $13. I guess isn't horrible by airport standards, but could be worse. Could be concert standards.
Oh God, or football game standards.
I will never forget when I went to Slipknot with Brianna, and she had gotten a Sprite. Her parents are rich, they all drive BMWs. But,
Nice.
and so I was dying of thirst, so I was like, where'd you get that? She like, and then shortly after, we went to give her a stand. I was like, how much is that Sprite? She's like, $10. I was like, what? I was like, shut the okay.
Well,
thank
go
you.
on.
Have a good day. I was like, just have a good day.
Well, that's like going to the Liberty Bowl game and buying 16 ounce.
There's Garrett chowing down on some Chex Mix. I think it's pretty cool. There's the big man himself, the sire of that prodigy, the product of his loin.
That sounds a lot better than, my mistake or, something like that. The size of the prodigy. I like that. It sounded good.
I'm a disabled veteran.
Yeah, those knees are shot.
See what's going on behind us. We're about 2 miles from Area X.
That night was uneventful. The hike was uneventful, but we did have some recorders going back at camp, and I was having to download them the next day so that we could hear what we had on there. And here's the various sounds that we got from that night. The the closer we got to daylight, I believe those were woodpeckers that you will hear on the audio because it had happened early in the morning. And that was about it. Not too much to brag about on the audio recording department, but you got to keep trying.
All right, me and Chris are going to place these parabolic logs in some good spots. I won't know till tomorrow. They'll be gone before I even listen to them, but I will let them know if we get anything. Will it beep if I don't have mine on?
Yeah. Unfortunately. I think that's crazy, but safety first, I guess, for this new generation. I remember the car didn't have seatbelts.
Yeah, we could ride. Yeah, standing up in the front seat. I mean, it was 8 ashtrays.
Right. Riding in the back of a station wagon, just riding back.
Yeah. Good old days. And bad old days.
True. The reason I want to bring you up here is to get up here about a mile or so, and it takes such a steep climb. You get up here and turn, you can see all the way across the valley to the next ridge. Wow. And I thought we could find a spot to put your drone up.
Yeah.
You could see all of that and come back over here and still see all of this. I'll show it to you up
Yeah,
here.
yeah, let's take a look at that.
I mean, it's worth a shot. It's pretty. It's pretty. I mean, it's pretty. Well, because I was driving, I looked to my left. I said, "Wow!" You see all the way across to that ridge. Good little ways. Because like I was reading.
I ain't driving through this shit.
I'll drive you up here. But I was reading there in the thing. He said,
Oh,
you know,
I'd bottom out in that.
you think?
Oh, you gotta be kidding me. That thing dropped forever.
Oh, well, I saw a car. Well, unless the car went around it. I saw a car.
There was a car in there.
Really?
You just drove over the top of a car.
That's why we went through so easy. But, but yeah, in the book it said, you know, give them the high ground, but you know,
Here, the high ground's anywhere, and everywhere.
this thing around this corner, I mean, it goes straight up there. There's your. I'm assuming that's where they were parked.
At this point, I want to show you on the map where camp is located We just left camp, which is that yellow dot on the map, and we went straight north up that ridge, Turkey Snout Ridge, and take a few bends and turns. And right there where I've got those arrows drawn is a little pond. And we saw that on Google Earth while we were up there. So we decided to get out and take a look because you could not see it from the road very well. So once we got on that curve and knew it was in there, decided to walk down there and have a look around.
Me and Chris are up here riding the super high logging road east of our camp, and on his map we saw that there was a little pond off the logging road. So we got out and we're just kind of checking it for tracks.
I know that's a deer, but what does that look like to you? Possibly?
Yeah, it's not pushed into the mud, Mario.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
It's a slide of some sort. So we're just gonna take a walk around and see if we can see anything. I know if I was a Bigfoot, I wouldn't drink from this stanky, stagnant thing. But I'd come up here and catch a bullfrog. We got a nice little break here. A break and a twist.
Oh, really?
I don't know, people. It's a dank area. You don't really see where anything's moved through here. It's a pretty tight fit. Here's an old break, about 4.5 foot high. Well, boy, it sure had good potential.
I found a couple of those little curious back over there, but I'm trying to see what this is. Two. Probably nothing. I'm trying to think of what's big that would make that much of a slide.
Yeah.
So,
boy, it's hard to. I mean, I saw something over there. That, I mean, is that a toe indentation at the very end there? But they seem awful small. So hard to say. I just need another footprint to go with it.
yeah, one behind it or one disturbing the water for sure.
Yeah. I mean, you can easily look at stuff like this and say to yourself, well, man, that could have been a foot that did that. Yeah. You know, you see that the water that's left in that opening, it almost looks like foot shaped. But who's to say? I like it. It had potential.
Well, look at this. It's probably nothing, but I'm always going to look at it.
Yeah.
So, and then like you just said, I didn't see anything else backing it up.
Yeah.
Well, you can clearly see where the
So we're probably about 25 miles from Mena, Arkansas here in the Ouachita.
you can see where the grass leading up to it has laid down.
Yeah.
So again, I don't see anything else to match it. You look at it from this way over here, looking that way.
Yeah. I mean, could you say toes?
Yeah.
You know, going from the top back down at an angle. You could. It's interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I'm just trying to see where this grass is laid down.
Yeah.
Is there anything big that's stepped?
I mean, unless something is stalking a bullfrog at night and can just snatch it with their hand, I'm not quite sure what you're going to get out of a pond like this.
Come down here to drink.
Yeah. If there's a creek at the bottom, I'd choose the creek over this.
Yeah, we'll put it out of there. That'd be cool. At least we know it's here.
All right.
And there's another big ass trail.
You know the deer come through here all the time to drink.
Yeah, this one there's nothing up on it. Just like the one down east is really odd. And then there's a little one. So, yeah.
Well, if I had time, you know, maybe it'd be a nice one to walk and check things out. But
Yeah, they sell thermal game cam, but I'd like to have something to just, I've been looking at thermals, just put in a tree and run, camouflage it.
yeah, when you find something like this, now a long-term camera project that kind of watches that, you know, because it's so, you know, it's not getting visited by many people.
No, it won't.
We wouldn't have seen it if it wasn't on the map. All right, about a mile from camp, there's a little one-lane bridge that goes over, I believe it's Pigeon Creek. I don't know for sure, but I am going to put a parabolic log in that creek. There doesn't look like it's got running water in it. There are some pools of water in it, but it's not running, so we shouldn't have to hear a bunch of water. And sometimes creek channels can funnel sounds really well. I learned that when I was spent 2 years at Lake Ulaga working a bullet maker's place. You can get a lot of good audio coming down through those creek areas. So this creek down here, I'm going to go ahead and leave a parabolic log tonight, and then I'm going to put one on the south side of the camp going down this other trail. So branching them out quite a bit further from the campsite to see if I can't pick up any audio tonight.
All right, here is an overview of the area where I was going. You can see the yellow is the bridge, and the red streak is the little dead-end road that runs along the creek there. So we will go ahead and zoom in a little bit, and on the next picture you can see the bridge and that little red road. It actually dead ends back in there. And I will explain that I've camped there before, but the little yellow X is where I put the parabolic log next to the bridge. in the creek.
Sorry, I had to check that. I had to check that for tracks. All right, here we are overlooking the creek. I will get this bad boy turned on. Record. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of insect activity tonight, but all right. See it pointing into the creek? Should do pretty good. Now let's go set log number 2.
This is an overview of where I took log number 2. The yellow dot in the center is the campsite, and that little rugged road going south from camp dead ends at a berm, and I drew a yellow line about where the berm is, and there's a little turnaround in there where you can back in and turn around by an old sign that is kind of ratty, and that's where I put the recorder.
All right, this is quite a ways south of camp. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to leave this out here to monitor things. I'm sure the insects and stuff is going to be quite bothersome, but maybe there'll be nuggets of info in there somewhere. Okay, it's 7 o'clock. This is an old sign stand, and I've got it setting up there, pointing back into the woods, so very good. Now let's just go back and let these things do their jobs. All right, I'm getting ready to go down to this creek to pick up the log recorder that I left last night. And this is a good 2 miles from camp, maybe even further. But there's a little turnoff in here. You can see where I parked the car. The bridge is right over there. And there's this, two trail here. This goes somewhat down that way, maybe 100 yards, 200 yards. Years ago, I camped in here one time, but the creek was running, so it was kind of noisy as far as the water sounds. So catching something with my recording was very difficult. So I didn't stay here. I only stayed here one night, but I did have a recorder going up the hill to the other side of this trail. And when I was in my hammock, thought I was hearing stuff up there, moving around. So I think this is a good location. So I'm gonna go back here and get the recorder, and just gonna fill you guys in on what my reasoning is. Oh, stickers, ow, 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 ow. Okay. And my reasoning is that when I get back to camp and go through this recorder, if there's any kind of activity in this creek bed now, then see, so here it is. See the log sitting right there. So the creek isn't running, but there's still a lot of nice clear water in there, so things would probably come down in here. So especially something might be looking for a food source within those pools. So I'm gonna get back to camp, listen to this, and if there's anything that excites me, what I will do is I may attempt to do the vehicle trick where I tape up the cab of the vehicle and come down here and just drive in here, 2 a.m., tootle down here real slow, back there till I can't go any further, and then just kill the engine. And, with a parabolic mic already recording on the top of the vehicle. So I've had a lot of success with that technique, but I first have to see if there's something going on in the area, and that's what I've done here. The other recorder, I'll listen to it, and it was in another location. Either one, if I hear something happening on those logs, and I may do the vehicle parking thing tonight in either one of those areas. So that's the plan. Yeah, I'm back to by myself right now. Chris and his son left, so I'll be here by myself now.
The next day, I started packing up camp so that I could I started packing up camp this day so that I could prepare to leave the next day. So without having all of my camp equipment, I had planned on putting blankets up in my truck and parking in various areas and listening using the parked car technique. So what I did was I went down and parked in the area that I put out the recorder by that old sign, and that's where I went and sat with a parabolic on top of the vehicle, headset on, sitting in the cab of the truck. All right, it's about midnight and I am driving down. I've got a parabolic on top of my vehicle and I'm driving down to the berm that's on this road. I don't know, half a mile from camp. There's a berm that stops you from going any further. And there's a little turnaround spot where I left my recorder last night. And I heard a few odds and ends. So I am going down here tonight. It's, like I said, it's almost midnight and I'm just going to park. I've got my windows blacked out except for the windshield. So I'm just going to be sitting here in the dark with the back behind me darked out and the two side windows darked out. And I'm just going to listen. So we shall see what we shall see, or we shall hear what we shall hear. Well, I gave it the old Boy Scout try and sat down there for about 2 hours. The insects made it extremely difficult to hear much of anything. So I eventually went back to camp, sat in a chair, and actually watched a movie on my phone while sitting in a chair. And then I smelt a skunky smell. All right, you guys, I'm sitting at camp, and it's my last night. I actually got most of my stuff packed up, except for the tent, 2 tables, and some of my supplies, including the coffee pot, is sitting out waiting for me in the morning. The canopy is packed away. Everything is packed away. Except for the bare minimum. I've got to admit, I've heard a couple of noises that make me think something odd may be going on. And I smell a bit of a stench. Very skunky smell. It could actually be a skunk. A real life skunk. But unless a skunk has been attacked or aggravated, it normally would not give off a stink. I mean, unless it was hit by a car. So out here, to smell a skunk, most animals avoid skunks. They don't play games with skunks. But I do smell a skunky stink. And I heard a noise that I thought might be a very large rock hit the ground down behind the tent over there. So I'm actually sitting in the chair watching a movie. So I'm going to continue as is, sitting here in the dark, watching a little movie, sitting in the chair. But I'm going to occasionally take a sweep with the thermal camera. I am running an audio, and it's actually on the table over there, pointing in the direction. And the reason I pointed it over there is because of the noise I heard. So, we shall see. Here in Tallahena, there's the old Alco store. It's been gone a long time, but it was an Alco bag that the photograph was returned to us in a rock cairn back in 2009 in an old ratty Alco bag. Back there in the mountains.